Hi, I'm Dan Schmitt. I do a motorcycle racing TV show called Team Chicago Challenge. My email is teamdan45@gmail.com. The website is teamchicago.tv. And one of these days I'm going to get around to working on that website and updating a little bit. But there's a lot of great information on my website, teamchicago.tv. So we came out to the National Motorcycle Museum, Anamosa, Iowa. And I'm going to show you, as I'm talking, I'm going to show you the signs to show that if you follow North Avenue, which is 64 in Illinois, if you follow North Avenue, it will take you directly to this museum. And it's almost exactly from downtown Chicago. If you started at North Avenue and Dearborn Street, it's exactly 200 miles to this museum. So it's a great ride in the country. You even get to go past Sycamore Speedway, but it's a great direct line to the National Museum, which has a fabulous collection, over 400 motorcycles. I cannot cover everything here. In fact, they do sell a video that does cover a lot of the items here. All I'm going to look at is all the different race bikes. We've got board track racers, we've got some dirt track racers, we've got land speed record bikes, got drag bikes. So I'm going to try to put it all together, plus some really unique motorcycles. So I hope you find the time somewhere this year. It's a nice bike ride, 200 miles through the country, and this is a great museum. I highly recommend that you make time to come to Iowa and see one of the greatest collections of motorcycles in the country. The National Motorcycle Museum. Over 400 motorcycles and thousands of great items in this museum. If you love motorcycles the way I love motorcycles, this is a great place to visit. A nice ride in the country, following North Avenue until you get to 151, US 151, and you get to see wild Irish gales. And this is John Parham, the man that put this museum together with his Indian jersey on at Waukegan, Ohio, back in 2016, I believe. He invited me to come to the museum, and I am now finally making a visit to this great institution in Iowa. As we see this bronze, it is Cal Rayborn picking up the checkered flag that could be maybe the match races in England when he won on the Harley Davidson. And now we're seeing a Harley Davidson land speed record. March 13th, 1937, this motorcycle, a knucklehead, went 136.183 miles per hour and had the land speed record at Daytona. As we see, Joe Petrali. But I should point out that Glenn Curtis in 1907 was the fastest man alive on Ormond Beach with his V8 motorcycle. He went 136.27 miles per hour. 1907, he became the fastest man alive on Earth, faster than any car, faster than a railroad, and even faster than any airplane at that time. As we look at this board track, we will see that board tracks, which were very popular at the turn of the century, they were built using 2x4s on the edge. That's how they can make the banking. They were used primarily for bicycle racing. Heinz Hospital outside of Chicago had a 2-mile board track for bicycle racing. Now we're going to get a few motorcycles from that era. This is a 1928 Harley Davidson JDH 2-cam overhead valve engine. And it looks like this bike has a clutch and a transmission. Back here we are seeing a 1914 Harley Davidson direct drive, no clutch, no transmission, 1-speed, board track racer. Next, we're seeing a 1920 dirt track racer. This is an Indian. It's based on the Power Plus engine. It is a flathead, and the first Power Plus were released in 1916. This is an Indian Daytona racer, and in 1919, Indian won 17 of the 20 national championship races. You can see there's a little bit of travel in the front suspension, but at the rear, it's a rigid tail frame. This is a restored Daytona racer, and this is what it would have looked like when it was released from the factory in 1920. And now we're going to look at some Class A or board track, dirt track racers on the mile. This is in Milwaukee State Fairgrounds on the mile track, reaching speeds of nearly 100 miles per hour. And going on to pick up the win on the dirt, it is Joe Petrali. This was probably 1935 or so. Joe Petrali, a very handsome racer. In fact, it reminds me of Humphrey Bogart. He won 49 national races. That included dirt track races and hill climbs. And now we're looking at a board track race from 1920. This race was filmed by a Czechoslovakian Indian dealer. In the film, it stated that this is Daytona Beach. It looks like at least a 1-mile track. This may be some of the greatest racing footage I have ever seen from that era. This is a well-crafted film of a board track race. These bikes are single speed, direct drive, no clutch, no transmission. They were pulled to start. They come together for the start as we see them race around at least a 1-mile track. This is a huge board track, and these motorcycles are reaching speeds of 100 miles per hour. This is some great racing film footage. And out front, it is Gene Walker winning on the Indian Power Plus 1920. And now we're looking at a 1919 Indian Daytona dirt track racer. It's a side valve engine, rigid tail, little suspension in front, and it's unrestored. So the question is, what is more valuable? A beautiful unrestored motorcycle like this, or a completely restored motorcycle? I guess it depends on the motorcycle and your taste. This is a 1912 Indian board track racer. It's an overhead 3-valve engine, 42-degree, and that became the standard for the Indian V-twin engines. You can see this is nicely restored. It has a Bosch Magneto, 28-inch wheels and a 56-inch wheelbase. Now we're looking at a 1908 Indian Torpedo tank. 1908 is just 7 years after Indian built their first motorcycle. Now this is also a V-twin, battery ignition, hand pump tank, capable of 70 miles per hour, and it costs $340. 1,000 cc or 63 cubic inches. You will notice the seat is way back over the back wheel. And my experience would tell me that is not a great place to put the seat. And now we're looking at, and I've never seen one of these, I don't believe. This is one of the original 1903 street bikes, Indian, that is in this museum. Indian was started by George Hendy and Carl Armstrong. George Hendy was a bicycle racer. They combined their talents. Over 1,000 of these motorcycles were sold. Single cylinder, and you notice the rear cylinder or the cylinder took the place of the down tube of the frame. And now we're looking at a 1908 single torpedo tank, board track racer, direct drive. It looks like it has no suspension. You'll notice that the seat is way back. Next is a 1921 Harley Davidson board track racer. This motorcycle went over 100 miles an hour at the Fresno board track in 1920. Rigid tail, little front suspension, nicely restored, and someone even built a model of this bike on the board track. This is a great display. A 1912 Indian V-twin 8-valve factory racer, meaning it had 4 valves per cylinder. This is factory modified, and that was basically the bikes that raced at that era. This was Class A racing. One-off copies were allowed to race. It's an over-exhaust induction system. Over in another case, I spot this 1911 Flying Mirko racer, unrestored in the original orange color. The last one I seen went for over $100,000 at the Hard-Tongue auction in Glenview, Illinois. That one was also unrestored, very valuable. And now we're looking at Dewey Sims Indian Daytona big valve dirt track bike. He removed one cylinder so that he could run in the 500cc class. You can see that he blocked off where the front cylinder would be. A dirt track racer that raced in the 1920s, top speed of 61 miles per hour. It looks to have a clutch and a transmission. And as long as we're looking at Indians, here's the Indian Twin from 1913. At that time, Indian was the largest motorcycle manufacturer in the USA. Again, you will spot the 42-degree V-twin engine, very nicely restored. And over on the other side of the museum, I spotted my friend's Chuck Weber's Wall of Death diorama. This is Chuck's main hobby now. He's a former professional motorcycle racer, raced at Santa Fe Speedway with me. He is a great historian of the history of walls of death. If you go to YouTube and search with Dan Schmitt, Walls of Death, you will see the video clip we produced together. He is a great craftsman. And now we spot Roadog, the largest motorcycle ever built, weighed 3,200 pounds, 17 feet long. It was Buzz Walnick that saved Roadog, but there are two of them. Got a Chevy Iron Duke engine, 4-cylinder.
Leave the city, he said I'll leave it far behind. And took off riding down the open road till he found a place to settle down. Can you hear him riding in the wind? I wish that he could fly once again. You hear him riding in the wind. Wild Bill, his legend. Had a dream, wouldn't pass him by. He told himself, I'm gonna build my own damn bike. The longest bike I'd ever seen. Wild Bill Gilkey, just to follow in his dreams. Can you hear him riding in the wind? I wish that he could fly once again. You hear him riding in the wind. Wild Bill, his legend.
What a beautiful song by Dirty Denny Mederski, a song about Wild Bill Gilkey. Now we're looking at the Auto 4. Bill built a good number of these bikes on North Cicero Avenue in Chicago. 1972, they sold for about $6,000. A 4-cylinder Leland engine with a 4-speed automatic transmission. This engine was also used in the Morris Minis. 4-speed automatic, weighing 950 pounds. We wanted to build a motorcycle that would not break. We have to thank Buzz Walnick for bringing Roadog to the public He brought it to many of his swap meets for a good 20 years. He sold it to a bar owner, and it looks like it has been restored. In the video riding the Auto 4 was Louie from the Mad Dog Saloon in Eland, Wisconsin, with his friends. As we scanned through the museum, what a collection. And I had the opportunity to talk to the director of special projects, Mark Madurski.
Hi, I'm Mark Mederski with the National Motorcycle Museum in Anamosa, Iowa. And we're a museum about 50 miles west of the Mississippi River, eastern Iowa, about 3 hours west of Chicago. We've got all kinds of motorcycles and a ton of memorabilia here. We got motorcycles from America, Japan, England, all over Europe, Italian, German, the whole ball of wax. But again, that memorabilia thing is really exceptional. You probably won't find too many other museums with so much memorabilia. We've got race win posters from Harley Davidson. We've got kidney belt collections. We've got leather jackets, race leathers. We've got some extreme motorcycles. We've got land speed record machines, drag bikes, and we even have an airplane that was made by a guy named Stevens. It's a biplane from 1911. It's a 7-cylinder rotary engine. It's a Gnome Omega, a French engine, and it flew in its era. We've got that here in the museum. So we've got aviation, a little bit of cars. We've got a Morgan three-wheeler and a couple of cycle cars, tons of motorcycles from all around the world. You're gonna love it. We're in Anamosa, Iowa, again. We're on Chamber Drive. The website is www.nationalmcmuseum.org. We're open all year except Christmas, New Year's, Easter, and Thanksgiving, so plan a trip. You're going to love it.
Thank you, Mark. And this is the Cesco Aero hydroplane. It was designed in 1910. This one was brought to Chicago by Ralph Stevens. He kept it in his hangar on Lake Michigan in Chicago. It uses a Gnome Omega rotary engine. The engine, the 7 cylinders, and the prop all spin together. By the engine spinning, that's what cools the cylinders. The first tests were made in late July in 1913 over Lake Michigan. Ralph Stevens stated that they had very satisfactory results. The engine and the prop acted like a gyroscope. As we see the pontoons on this aircraft. And I should point out there is a direct connection between airplanes and motorcycles in that era. It was Glenn Curtis that tested his aircraft engines in motorcycles. A 2-cylinder and then a V8 engine were all tested in motorcycles. There was 2 pictures of this aircraft on the beach in Chicago on Lake Michigan. What a flying machine this must have been. The first air shows in Chicago in 1913. I am always fascinated by aircraft design and their engines, and that's why I go to the EAA Air Adventure every year. Well, we're running out of time as we scan the entrance of this great museum. Make sure you tune in next week. We are going to look at a replica of a steam-powered motorcycle built in 1867 by Sylvester Roper. And from what I understand, Dave Roper, who I've raced with at the vintage races, was a distant relative. We'll have more on that steam-powered bike. Also, I spotted, never seen one of these, the twin-cylinder 220cc Honda Dream 4E. And we're also going to talk about the J&P land speed record Streamliner. Plus they got Don Vesco's Streamliner in this museum. And for more information on this great museum, go to their website, nationalmcmuseum.org. On Facebook, it's National MC Museum. Iowa 64 and US 151, Anamosa, Iowa. To contact me, and I love to hear from my audience, it's teamdan45@gmail.com. Remember, you can always search on YouTube with Dan Schmitt Motorcycle Racing for great motorcycle racing action. And eventually I'll be up on Rumble. And on Rumble, you search with Dan Schmitt TV. Some of the greatest racing action on YouTube is what I put up with Dan Schmitt Motorcycle Racing. And I highly encourage you to also visit the World of Motorcycle Museum, Winnemac, Indiana, just off Indiana 39, 4 miles south of North Judson. Give them a call first at 574-896-3172. It's 100 miles from downtown Chicago and Indiana. A great trip and a wonderful collection of motorcycles.